Well, hello and welcome to the WSSEA Spring 2023 for Super Smash Brothers. I will be your host this evening, Captain Atsuka, joined on the desk by none other by Way Too Dan. Way Too Dan, we have some interesting matches going on tonight that are in fact brought to you by Washington Army National Guard and Seattle Built PC. So if there's any more information that we have going into tonight's matchup, maybe you can give us some.
Absolutely, I can. Now, this matchup, we got the Kennedy Catholic Lancers versus Lake Stevens Vikings. So, see, Lake Stevens is currently 1-0 after a big win, I would say, over ODL last week. And last spring, the Vikings actually won the state championship in this Smash format, and the Vikings are hoping for a repeat this year. However, there are several threats in our division in the way, including teams like Seattle Prep, Cedar Woolley, and Kennedy Catholic this week. And Kennedy Catholic is actually 0-1 at the moment, so they're definitely looking to pick something up here in this season right now. Preferably this match, I would imagine. And their two best players are founding captains that actually graduated this year. So this team is mostly underclassmen who are looking forward to earning their stripes and getting some games in to really prove themselves going into this.
Well, yeah, the best way to get your players to be better is to simply just throw them in and have them experience it. But with that being said, speaking of the true experience here at WSSEA Smash, let's also go over our format. It's segmented into 5v5, 1v1 best of threes. So game one is worth 2 points, and of course the loser of that chooses the next map. And then game number two also worth 2 points. Loser again chooses the next map, so on and so forth. And then, of course, when we get to match number 3, that will be worth 3 points. Match number 2 worth 4 points. Match number 1, I'm sorry, game 4 worth 4 points. Game 5 worth 4 points. And at the end, whoever has the most points, of course, will be our winner.
Absolutely. Last week, we had a little bit of a blowout, and this one, I'm thinking it might actually be a little bit closer. You see, last season, obviously, last spring season, I should say, Lake Stevens winning the entire thing in this format. You can imagine they'd be a bit of a favorite, given they're 1-0 at the moment in the season as well, compared to Kennedy's 0-1. But I do think that we're going to see some interesting picks here. I'm expecting a lot more heavy characters this time around. I distinctly remember Lake Stevens playing... I saw a lot of K-Rool, right? Which I thought was a very strong pick because, you know, he's got the projectile spamming capabilities. He has a fantastic recovery as well, very heavy. Not an easy character to take out, right? So it wouldn't surprise me to see something like that again. Now, the question is, though, is that great in a 1v1 format, right? I'm not super familiar with K-Rool. He's fantastic 1v1? Okay, because it was duos last time I saw them.
My guy, 2 words for you, okay? Kirby Kid.
Oh,
That's
no.
it. That's all I got for you. Look him up. The #1 King K. Rool player in the world, Louisiana native. And also, when you break down King K. Rool, you got to understand, not only is the homie a big heavy, but it takes a lot to knock them out. You forget about the belly armor, bro, the big gut in front. You got to watch out for that. That can definitely be a major thing. But it's also a double-edged sword because if you break it and you bust it, then all of a sudden King K. Rool's vulnerable. But with that being said, you also got the big musket that can even go really well into the back throw off edge, creating an edge guard opportunity. And then not to mention the crown, the big shiny thing on top, that right there alone can actually deal a lot of damage and can really cause somewhat of a stir for your opponent whenever they're trying to develop a counterattack. So there's a lot of versatility for the big heavy croc that is King K. Rool.
I can absolutely see that. Going into last season with the doubles, I figure this is a fantastic character. You can just shoot out projectiles, his teammate taking the brunt of the damage, and he's able to just spam from far away, and it's kind of hard to avoid that when you're fighting somebody else. In a 1v1 scenario, I'm wondering, how difficult is it to avoid those projectiles and everything? Do you think it might be easy to call someone out when they're in those situations, when they're maybe even at the ledge? Obviously, he has a fantastic recovery, but if you're just shooting at projectiles constantly, it might not be easy to actually get in close. Does K-Rool have that kind of capability?
Well, you see, that's the point. The projectiles are actually easy to dodge. The whole point of it is so that way you can force your opponent to move either closer or further away to the edge. So if they move in closer to you, that means great, I'm about to absolutely demolish them. But if they move further away, then that's closer they're getting to the opposite edge. So that's the really whole point of King K. Rool's throwables, is to really not be so much where they're unavoidable, but to actually give you an extra layer of control. And if they do hit you, they are going to deal a good bit of damage as well. So again, there's multiple layers. There's a lot of variety coming from this particular heavy, and it's interesting to say because when you think about the big heavies, you usually don't think about a lot of variety, but King K. Rool, they can bring that to the table.
Absolutely. The biggest thing for me that I notice every time I've seen K. Rool play, it's always that recovery. right? He's so heavy, it's hard to knock him out. And even when you do get him off stage, he flies right back up. And it's just, it's not easy to deal with, right? What I'm understanding now is we might have a little bit of an issue going on with some Wi-Fi things. So we're going to try to keep ourselves a little bit more preoccupied as we wait. I do expect, actually, that we might see a little bit more Little Mac, because I know he's a fan favorite, and in a 1v1 situation, I love to see him play. And we've seen a lot of Little Mac players here in WSSEA, right? Last season we had plenty, even in a 2v2 situation where I don't necessarily think he's the best. We still had plenty of people picking him. So here, I'm thinking Little Mac is strong. Now, what I'm not aware of is Little Mac any good against K. Rool? I don't know. I have no clue.
Honestly, I don't either, because I have yet to see that matchup. Like,
Really?
okay, I've seen it, and in the grand scale of things, but not me personally analyzing, overseeing, casting the actual match. I haven't had the pleasure of casting a K. Rool taking on a Lil Mac. But with that being said, Lil Mac is just such a speedy character. Oh my word! And then of course, when you're having your big heavies, they're usually pretty slow, and I think that could be a huge advantage for Lil Mac. And really, a King K. Rool trying to counter that, the really only thing that you can do is try and utilize those throwables, just so that way you can force them to move in towards you. And keeping them at bay necessarily doesn't work, but again, just trying to use those throwables to kind of control where all that speed is going to be directed to. That's really your best bet, because as soon as Little Mac just starts moving around, it's so hard to pin them down.
Absolutely. Now, the belly armor, I can imagine, would be a decent use case. You could probably catch him out of neutral a lot, because Little Mac, he likes to run in head first, right? It's one of his greatest strengths. He loves to run straight in and just deal out a lot of damage. And I can imagine the belly armor would be beneficial. You might even be able to take priority over some of those hits, even with a nair or something to that effect with the K. Rool. But I can't imagine him being able to keep up with that speed. Like you were saying, Little Mac is just so incredibly versatile as well. Obviously, where he's lacking is that recovery. But, I mean, if you're moving quick enough, surely you're not being taken off stage, right? So I figured that could be a bit of an advantage there. Now, against floaty characters, that's where Little Mac really shines. So hopefully, if we see a Little Mac players like we see most often in WSSEA, they're going to be against what they want to play against, characters like that. I have no idea what else to expect, except for, I mean, it's got to be Cloud, right? There's got to be at least one Cloud going into this. There's always a Cloud. I swear there's always a Cloud every single time. He just has so much range, so much versatility. The sword characters in general, I mean, I think it's clear the developers of this game have a soft spot for swords, right? Like, we've had, like 50 Fire Emblem characters? I'm pretty sure that's the exact number.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I love Cloud and Sephiroth and all the Final Fantasy characters, and also I'm a huge Kingdom Hearts stan, so I love Sora, even though they're not that great, but still they did manage to get their one dub in a big stage setting. So I mean, that's good on Sora, at least for that much. But as regards to Cloud, yes, more often than not you're going to see at least one Cloud pick every single bout. It cannot be denied. But when it comes to the sword users, I'm sorry, I feel as though the Fire Emblem characters hold the banner for sword wielders in Smash, all except Kid Link. Kid Link, absolutely insane, absolutely nuttery buttery, and in my opinion, not only is a sword user, but when played correctly can double as a zoner. And again, that is up to speculation. If I'm capping, say Captain's capping, but I feel like with the combination of the arrow, the boomerang, the bomb, and just their arsenal of throwables makes them an effective zoner. And that's the way I see a lot of people play them. They throw out the throwables, and then they follow up an attack after the throwable has been thrown. And it actually makes it pretty useful against those speedy type characters like Little Mac, like Greninja, Pikachu, etc. And with that being said, when it comes to the sword users, I feel like the meta is starting to go the way of Byleth and Roy, which I think it has already been the meta, is Byleth and Roy being the top two swordies. So as much as I do love Cloud and Sephiroth, and I think Cloud is still pretty much a meta sword user, I still think that a higher win percentage goes to characters like Byleth and Roy.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, we see it constantly, right? Players like MKLeo especially, showing what Byleth is capable of, especially at the highest level of play. Like Byleth has incredible range, so much damage on individual hits. Like it's the spear, if I'm not wrong. The spear, oh my goodness, that just dominates at the ledge, exactly. And against characters like Roy, compared to Roy, whose recovery is lacking compared to some like Byleth, right, who just kind of
Hmm.
snipes the ledge and pulls himself immediately back up. I don't know. Like Roy is incredibly fast, right? But
Absolutely.
I don't see that competing with something like Byleth or something like Pyra Mithra as well, who are both pretty quick, but also put out so much damage, especially in the neutral. Pyra Mithra blows my mind. I don't understand how that got past the development stage. Like, what even happened there? How
You
did
know,
that happen?
I feel like the development team with, Pyra Mithra gave the same amount of thought process when they came up with Steve. But,
Mm,
in order for us to continue, we have to develop our thought processes on how we're going to continue the stream, given that we are still having technical issues. So we're actually going to take a quick break, get our thoughts together, and when we come back, we will be bringing you that Smash Brothers action right here at the WSSEA. Do not go anywhere. Well, hello and welcome back once again to Super Smash right here on the WSSEA. Again, I am Captain Etsuka, joined on the desk by way too much Dan. There's just too much Dan to handle.
too
Just
much.
absolutely too much. And
I can't help
with
it.
that being said, we actually got word that our last match, unfortunately, is not going to be able to go because someone tripped over the Ethernet cord and then boom, all of their internet just went kaput. So, way too Dan, why don't you tell us about the match that we have coming up instead?
All right, now we actually got Wooly versus Seattle Prep, and we've seen a lot from these players, right? Last season in the winter, we had the doubles. Wooly went pretty far, right? They were a strong team at the time, so I'm expecting strong individual play as well. Now, Seattle Prep, I don't think they got quite as far as Wooly, right? So there's definitely a favorite in the situation, right? But again, that was doubles. This is a different format entirely. Right? These are singles. These are 1v1s. This is about as pure Smash as you can get here. You're not worrying about hitting your teammate around. You're not worrying about Falcon punching them straight off of the map as two other people come barreling towards you. You don't got to worry about that, right? So here, it's a completely different ballgame. I have no idea what to expect of Wooly versus Seattle Prep. And it could really go either way. Now, I'm also not sure what they're going to pick. Right? Because, I mean, Wooly, they had a lot of very fast picks going into last season. But again, that was doubles. Anything could change in that. They could go for a heavier pick like King K. Rool, like you said, fantastic character. They could go for Quick again, go for Little Mac now that he's more playable in a single situation. Anything could happen, Captain. Happen, Captain, smapped and bapped it. You know what I'm saying?
Hey,
So it's like...
I like it. But no, yeah, I'm definitely interested and cannot wait to get this one underway. Just because, with the last match, we kind of had, somewhat of an idea of what to expect. With this one, it could be like anything goes. Like, we don't know how this one will play out, especially comparing teams or, rather, the one team in particular, Wooly, who is pretty good at the doubles now coming into the singles. Is that going to affect their picks? Are they going to rely less on those speedy characters that they used to bring to the doubles? It really goes all out the window, and, new precedents could be set on how both of these teams really answer each other, especially in a 1v1 setting, because we had already discussed it way too, Dan. You touched on it right then and there. It is like the rawest form of Smash. Like when things get real, you always, doesn't matter, doubles, triples, whatever, what have you. It doesn't even matter what game it is either. When things get real, you always say, catch me in the 1v1. Let's go. Bring it to the 1v1. We're going to settle it there. Doesn't even matter what game it is. It always goes down in the 1v1. That is where disputes are settled. That's where you separate the weak from the chap, the better from the best, and it really just gets all laid out. So again, it's the purest form of competition. So honestly, I cannot wait to get into it.
I'm extremely excited. And like you said, I mean, the common phrase, right, is settle it in Smash. And that's exactly what we're going to do here today. Wooly versus Seattle Prep. It doesn't get better than this, right? I get so excited every single week for this to come around, every single Thursday. I get giddy, I get giddy because you never know what you're going to see. It's different every single time, even if you're only playing on the Battlefield stages. We don't have items, whatever, but it's that 1v1. It's that 1v1. It purely comes down to you just prove right then and there who the better player is, and that player will advance as you slowly go through. I mean, we have 5 different best of 3s that are going to happen here. It's purely a point-based system. it's going to be different every single time, right? You get brand new players without fail in the matchup, and they're almost always going to play a different character. You have no idea what to expect, and it doesn't get better than this. Truly, Captain, I just get really excited thinking about it. And I mean, we're only going to get more. Now, obviously, spring break is coming around the corner. We can't expect to have anything next week, but 2 weeks from now, we're only going to get more Smash. And, you know, as the bracket continues, we have no idea what we're going to see by the end. It's a completely different situation from last season. You know, last season had doubles, and anything, truly anything could happen, Captain. Smapped and bapped and dashed and smacked. I can't stop. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. It kind of like hypes me up a little bit too as we get ready to get our first one underway. And look at this, 2 characters that we mentioned in the pre-show.
Sure
None
enough.
other than King K. Rool and Cloud. This is going to be a doozy.
Off the rip, we immediately see them clashing projectiles here. This is exactly what we expected. King K. Rool and Cloud. We called it up from the beginning. Did we get an award for that? I think we actually
should.
do. Yeah, absolutely. And he's already knocking him off of the stage here. King K. Rool being sent off immediately, 71%. And holding at the ledge and narrowly going to spot dodge that, and he gets the grab as well. Captain, I don't know what you expect to see from this, but me personally, I see Cloud just moving so much quicker, and I don't know if King K. Rool can handle it.
Well, there's only one way to find out, and that's to see how King K. Rool does adapt and react. But meanwhile, this is all Cloud's game, as now they're charging up for the limit breaker, and they get pretty close as King K. Rool again using their recovery to get themselves back on stage, but it only brings them that much closer to Cloud and putting them in the danger until finally, for the first time, Cloud did go off stage, but they recovered too nicely to get the first stock off of King K. Rool.
It's already going to happen for Gabier. It goes for the recovery, but it'll be spiked immediately, taking it 2-2, both having 0. Wow, after such a dominant first stock, he's already able to bring it back to even. In fact, he's actually found an advantage. King K. Rool barely avoiding that spike coming out from the Cloud, able to get to the ledge. Oh, that belly is just so powerful. You mentioned it before, that belly with that armor. You can break through a lot there with that super armor. He's barely unable to cover that ledge. He's using the crown, as you said before as well, Captain, to a great bit of advantage. He's able to knock Cloud towards him, and he's almost able to get that up smash as well. Get in the grab. It'll come through. He's knocking him to the air, and he will take another stock. Captain, what does Cloud have to do in order to recover this game?
Honestly, I was nervous for King K. Rool for a second because that limit breaker was there, and all that was going to take is a solid effort, a good try, and a nice clean connection, and that would have been the end of King K. Rool. However, King K. Rool was just able to duck, dive, dip, dive, and dodge and find their way into that grapple, that down throw that really got it, and then, of course, taking Cloud off stage, forcing them to use their recovery, and let's be honest, King K. Rool's recovery going up against Cloud, King K. Rool is going to take it.
Wow. I'm not going to lie. The opening there left me expecting a very different result going into that one. I mean, Cloud, such an incredible opening, so much damage coming out, taking the first stock, leaving about 88%. Plenty of time to get extra credit onto the next stock as well, but King K. Rool, he's able to just absolutely dominate. The second Cloud is near the ledge, he's spiking him down. It's terrifying seeing this monster coming at you near the ledge. And Cloud, I mean, clearly he was afraid. He's quivering in his boots here, Captain. He's falling right off the ledge. He can't even recover. And King K. Rool, I mean, he can go up and up for miles with his recovery. So able to take it now. 2 stocks as well in the lead despite losing the first one. King K. Rool able to take that. And going to the next 1v1, do you think we're going to see any character switch-ups here?
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, that's usually how it goes. At the same time, however, it all depends on what these players are comfortable with, because when in doubt in Smash, you always are supposed to go with your comfort pick, especially if you find yourself lacking in certain areas. So it depends whether or not Cloud was really their comfort pick or not. If it was, I would say continue it. Keep it going, because eventually you're going to find an avenue on which you can, kind of rise above your challenges. But with that being said, if it's not your comfort pick, then by all means start to play around. And honestly, say that King K. Rool is going to stick with that player. If they're going to stick with the King K. Rool pick, then you have got to get yourself a character that is just as equal, if not better, in the recovery. Because 2 out of the 3 stocks that King K. Rool took was off stage. So you have got to get yourself a character who can either fight, go head to head off stage, something like a Greninja, something even like a Pikachu that is pretty good off stage. And it's a gamble because they're so squishy, but at the same time, the recovery from Cloud and a lot of sword users just can't go up against King K. Rool.
Absolutely not. No. And as heavy as he is, sure, you can get a lot of damage out. You can hit him, you can hit players a lot with a character like Cloud. He's a very fast character. He's able to put out a lot of damage at a decent range. But when you're just that heavy and you have that much potential near the ledge like King K. Rool does, the second you're off, I mean, you're immediately put at a massive disadvantage. And if you don't have a recovery option, like you said, especially like a character like Pikachu, a character like Pikachu is a fantastic pick against that. His recovery is fantastic. Great mix-up potential there. But we're not even going to see it here. We're back to the once again, Cedro Woolley chilling on the King K. Rool against the Cloud straight into this matchup, and then looking like he's starting off strong as well. An immediate hit through. The Crowd's able to do a bit of damage now. What do you think Cloud's going to have to do a little bit differently here, Captain, in order to recover?
Oh my goodness, that is just insanely tough. I mean, your best case scenario is, again, trying to use as much of this limit breaker as possible. They are able to get it. They do get it to land, and look at the massive amount of damage already dealt to King K. Rool. And another thing that you could possibly do as this Cloud coming from Cedro Woolley is to try and keep as much of the fight as you can center stage.
Absolutely, and he's getting real close to his limit breaker as well, and you're right, despite being able to get that counter, he needs to stay all the way in the center. The second he's off the stage, he's at a massive disadvantage. Cloud, not a great recovery. That crown throw, though, able to knock him backwards into the nair. That was a fantastic hit. He continues to try to ramp that up. 154% on the King K. Rool at the moment, but he just won't go down. He's just so heavy. Cloud unable to get that next hit in, and the grab will come through, able to take the first stock for Cedro Woolley. King K. Rool finding it. Now Gabe, he wants to get the recovery, and once again, it'll happen, bringing him dead even, just like last game. We're seeing a similar repeat. But if it goes similar to last game, Captain, I mean, we're going to see that King K. Rool switch things up entirely here.
And that's why you see the King K. Rool coming from Seattle Prep, trying to force the edge issue. But again, I don't know if it's just like from a perspective, but it looks as though that this map may be a little bit longer, a little bit wider than our last map. So it looks as though that King K. Rool is having a little more difficulty getting Cloud over that edge, as, you know, efforts and attempts just continue to fail, as once again Cloud is able to take it center stage.
I will say Cloud's biggest advantage in this matchup has to be his speed and his range. And what I'm noticing here, when Gabe takes these hits, when he takes this damage and he gets sent down to the floor, the thing that he's lacking at the moment is the techs. If he was landing these techs, he would be able to recover significantly quicker from any kind of hit stun, and he'd be able to find himself a lot more damage more often. But at the moment, even if he's landing these nairs and these up airs, he finds it extremely difficult, I'd imagine, in order to actually stay on top of his opponent. The second he takes a little bit of damage, he's already at a massive disadvantage, even on stage. Sure, he's doing a lot right now, but another throw will come through from Cedro Woolley on this King K. Rool, and he will find another stock. Now, 2-1 at the moment, 136%. He will find the recovery, but that will be enough to find it back to dead even. And he finds the Limit Breaker as well. Captain, what does Limit Breaker do exactly?
It's just an insane power-up. It's just like an insane amount of power being thrusted into one attack, and it can literally change the game and has tremendous knockback potential. So again, you know, it is one of those abilities that you do have to put time into. You have to charge it up, you know, and you have to get it to where you can time it to where it's not wasted. You don't want to run it straight into a block, and you don't want to run it to a whiff. You know, it's a lot of an investment, somewhat of almost a high-risk, high-reward play, because when you do charge it up, it does leave you vulnerable.
Oh my goodness, a fantastic move off the ledge, narrowly avoiding the limit break attack, and King K. Rool will take the second game, taking the best of three. Cedro Woolley. Oh my goodness, that King K. Rool, he was just so incredibly quick, fantastic reactions, and he's going to take that one. Wow.
Yep, and that's going to be the first 2 points going to Cedro Woolley. And again, like I was saying, that's the problem with the limit breaker. Not necessarily a problem, but it's a double-edged sword. It's high risk, high reward. You can either land it and you're going to get something great out of it, or it leads you to either whiff, or you leave yourself vulnerable when you're trying to charge it up. And that's what we saw. Again, they went for the limit breaker on the edge. King K. Rool able to dodge it, turn things around, come in with the big armored belly, and get a huge smash to get the last stock off of Cloud and the game win.
Absolutely. Now we're going to be moving into the next 1v1 best of three. We're going to have two new players coming in from either side, and I can imagine we're probably going to see a lot of maybe even similar picks here. I don't think it's likely we're going to see another King K. Rool going to this next one, but it might actually be another Cloud. It's my understanding that there were a couple of Cloud players on the side of Cedro Woolley, especially, and I'm not entirely certain what you're going to be able to do with that character at this point, because even when you get those limit breakers in, he seems to be just fragile enough that a heavy character is able to get some solid damage in and just knock you off stage consistently. Now, if they are moving quick enough, they are likely going to be able to find something a little bit more effective, maybe even getting those grabs, but it's definitely not going to be easy. We actually missed the first game. As it turns out, we weren't aware of that. We did miss the first game though. So CJ was actually up 4-0 at the moment. They actually won the first two. That was the second game that we just witnessed right there. So going into this next one, we have another best of 3 1v1 matchup, and it's going to be worth a bit more points this time around. It's my understanding it's actually going to be worth 3 points going to this next one. So with that pickup, if CJ Woolley manages to find that captain, their opponent here, Seattle Prep, needs to win both of the last 2 games in order to be up even 1 point at the end. I'm not entirely sure what they're going to be able to do, though.
Well, you could already see right now that Cedra Woolley being able to answer back with the King K. Rool pick is not necessarily the end-all be-all. I mean, currently, you're looking at a 4-0 lead, but you got to keep in mind as the matches go on, so do the points value. Once you get into match number 3, all of a sudden you're getting 3 points for that game, and then of course when you get to games 4 and 5, then you're up to 4 points. So literally just by winning one match in games 4 or 5 could potentially equalize if you can actually start winning the games now as we get ready to head into game 3 and, potentially get 3 points on the board. So yeah, there's still plenty of opportunity left to try and make this comeback.
Absolutely. Now, I want to hear predictions, right? Because, we just saw the King K. Rool and Cloud. What do you expect to be seeing going into this one?
Honestly, I do not know. I mean, we didn't get to see the first map, or the first match rather, so there was a lot of information that we missed out on. So it's really kind of hard to predict on how match number 3 will go. We're only dealing with one match we got to see between the K. Rool and between Cloud. So going forward is going to be interesting to see what the rebuttal is going to be from Seattle Prep, knowing at least so far that they did try going the way of the sword user, going against the heavy, and unfortunately they weren't able to really put up a lot of damage or take a lot of stock off of the King K. Rool. But I don't know, there's just so many avenues they can take, and especially with the way that I've been seeing a lot of these competitions go, especially against heavy characters, I've been seeing a lot of answers being made with the sword picks. So if anything, I would think that they would try to stick with the sword pick, but maybe a different character, maybe someone like Byleth, maybe someone like Roy, even a Link. And you know what, I wouldn't be surprised if we see some controller characters as well. So maybe even seeing the Pyramithra like we talked about, or even the Palutena, I think could make a resurgence. And you know what else? I'm gonna go ahead and say it, Zelda. I think a Zelda pick would actually do well against someone like King K. Rool or even a heavy, just for the fact that they're able to keep them so far away and keep them at bay. But with all speculations aside, we do have our game 3, and it's going to be Little Mac versus Lena. Is that what is her name? You correct
Lucina.
me, please. Lucina, that's it.
Little Mac. This is the pick I was expecting. We talked about this before in these 1v1s. He's a very popular character, a fan favorite. Almost able to land that forward smash there, narrowly blocking that with the shield. The counter unable to be landed as well. Lucina already going off the stage here. 77%. A great parry comes through from the Little Mac there, landing the up special. Almost called it a recovery when it was not a recovery in the moment. He will grab the ledge though, narrowly making it back. Cedra Woolley on this Little Mac doing so much damage at the moment. And Captain, I don't know if you've seen a lot of Lucina play, but it's my understanding that they're not necessarily the best sword user that counter unable to come through. I mean, I can imagine you'd rather have something like Roy, right?
Well, yeah, I would, and maybe Lucina not being the best swordie might be a reason why I wasn't very familiar with their name. But regardless, I'm watching it unfold right now. It's definitely not the worst case scenario until it was. Getting a jab straight to the forehead from Little Mac and then sending you all the way into the blast zone. Now getting the first stock off of Seattle Prep here in game 3.
Ooh, Lucina trying to call him out there as he goes for that charge-up punch. Unable to land it, unfortunately. Still at 90% for that Little Mac. 109 now off the stage. Going for the spike, but he's not quite able to find it. Lucina having to back off a little bit here, taking a lot of damage once again. Cedra Woolley still hasn't lost his stock. That KO punch will not land. Lucina trying to call him out at the edge, and the counter will come through. Great hit from the Little Mac here. Waiting for the counter to come through. Unable to react, though. Going for the forward smash, but it's not going to happen. Oh, the gimp comes through, and they try to line it up. Unable to land it, though. Lucina taking him off to the side of the stage here. Oh, and another great hit comes through. Now, Captain, what does Lucina have to do to take this back at the moment? Are they just not moving fast enough?
I mean, I'll be honest, I'm not all too familiar with Lucina's moves, but right now it brings me back to somewhat of what you were talking about in the pre-show, especially with Little Mac in the 1v1s, is that they like floaty characters. And from what I'm seeing from this Lucina, they're constantly jumping, they're constantly going for the nairs, and they're putting themselves in aerial situations. And like you said, Little Mac kind of likes having their opponents up in the air, but right now Lucina able to at least take the first stock off of Little Mac.
Finally comes through. They're now at 38% though on that last stock. Definitely a pretty significant advantage coming in for CJ at the moment. Lots of counters coming through. Not able to call them out in time though, but that one will land. Took a stock with one earlier, so I'd imagine they found their favorite move going to this. The Nair comes through as well, canceling out that forward smash charge up. CJ going for a little bit of style here, trying to take this last stock. 88% on the Lucina. Is a bit of a call out there, going for the forward special. Tried to call out the recovery, and it's not quite going to happen. Lucina going down. There we go. That's going to be the first game going over to CJ Woolley. Once again, going to this next 1v1 captain. What are they going to have to switch up going into this? And I'd imagine it can't be a character like Lucina, right? They're just too floaty.
Yeah, they are, and you know what? I also think maybe not many sword picks are going to go well against Lil Mac, because sword users are notoriously kind of lackluster when it comes to recovery. You do have some good ones, but a lot of them just, they're not that great. Lucina's recovery honestly wasn't that good, but the thing is the same for Little Mac. Their recovery, not great. Their offstage fighting, their offstage presence, not great. So you need to get you a character that can go offstage, that can recover well, and also can actually juggle your opponent, in this case Little Mac, off into the blast zone. So honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if we see a Greninja come out. I think Greninja has great offstage presence. I think their edge guarding is phenomenal, especially when they hit their down air or their down B. Absolutely phenomenal, taking Little Mac off stage, and you really need a character that can control Little Mac. They are insanely speedy, so that's when you're going to need to have some zoning aspects to your character. But regardless, we're going to see Brawler versus Brawler, as now Wario is going to be next to take on Little Mac.
I'm not going to lie to you, Captain. I'm not extremely familiar with what Wario does. What are his strengths, would you say?
I honestly have no idea. I just assume they're a brawler because, all the Mario brothers are brawlers. Luigi, Mario, of course, Dr. Mario, R.I.P. But so, yeah, you know what? I haven't really seen a lot of Wario, so I really don't know what to expect. I just assume it's another brawler, and already you can see them forcing Little Mac off stage and taking advantage of that lackluster recovery.
Wow, yeah, I gotta say, Wario, definitely a very popular character. I've seen him played a lot in high levels of Smash Ultimate. But to this day, I'm still not exactly sure what his massive advantage is and why people pick him. From what we can tell right now, I think it has to be that neutral game, right? Those aerials especially, they're so incredibly quick. They don't have a lot of end lag. It is a decent recovery as well, and he does have that trick up his sleeve. It's the fart, right? As silly as it is, he's got that fart, and when it charges up enough, you can do some incredible damage and take stocks extremely consistently. Waiting for that call out, unable to land that neutral as he tries to drop down from below. Probably should have been a little bit quick with that. Maybe just go for a nair or a forward air. But he's not quite able to get it. Still, though, up that stock. Great hit comes through, but it's not quite going to do it. Captain, I mean, can you even see him making a comeback here right now? This Little Mac just not putting out the damage.
I mean, Little Mac can definitely make a comeback, and now they have the KO as well as the first stock off of Wario, and potentially they can even things up right here and now, and the percentage difference between them, not very big. I mean, you're looking at a 30% difference right now, so Little Mac definitely within their bounds to make a comeback, and to be completely honest, I kind of favorite them in this matchup, but that motorcycle is one of the standout maneuvers and mechanics that Wario does have over Little Mac because it covers so much ground.
Absolutely. Oh, the jungle comes through. He's able to land that forward smash as well. That's a lot of damage. He's really brought it back from the brink here, as you said. Oh, a lot coming through there. Nice little shot lower there, the low tilt there. Oh, able to grab the ledge as well, but the neutrals come through. Oh, he's almost able to block it, but it's going to come out there. The down air as well for the Wario. The counter, though. 110 at the moment compared to 108. They're just dead even at the moment. Lots of damage coming through. They're able to shield it once again, but Wario taking the stock, making it 2-1 at the moment. There's a chance they might be able to take it to a game 3 here going to this best of 3 situation. The bike comes through for the recovery as well. Oh, but Little Mac bringing it back to dead even and now. Oh man, it doesn't get more exciting than this, Captain. He's able to just put out so much damage, shielded as well, and he tries to get that grab, but it's not quite going to come through. Question is, what's going to be the finishing move here for either side? What do you think it's going to be?
I think, if anything, it should be a counter attack from Wario. That's really where their strengths are right now against this Little Mac. Little Mac is all speed, all gas, no brakes, and whenever they do leave an opening, Wario just takes advantage and is able to deal a lot of damage very quickly, whereas Little Mac just continues the aggression, but the reversal coming from Wario with 112% damage is able to take the final stock off of Little Mac, and now we have game 3.
And that right there, Captain, is exactly what I was talking about before. The fart. It has that super armor, it has that damage, and when it charges up just enough and you bait him in close like Little Mac wants to be, you can do something incredible. And that's exactly what he did just then. Now taking it 1-1, Seattle Prep versus Cedar Woolley in this third game here of the best of 3. They're going to take it to game 3. And now, I mean, even after winning that, it was a close one. I'm not going to lie to you, Captain. I don't expect to see character switch-ups here. Even though Little Mac, sure, he might have lost that one, but it's clearly a comfort pick, and they're strong on it. I don't see it switching right now, but I mean, if you have any other ideas, I'm all ears.
Honestly, no. I mean, that was a pretty close matchup. I think they could possibly take the dub over Wario if they just make 1 or 2 quick corrections and, of course, avoid the fart at all costs. And you know what? I wanted to ask you if you could break it down for me. What exactly is that move? What is the fart? Is it a counter? Is it like a down B? Is it like a new... Like, what is the fart? What is it?
I'll tell you right now, it's an enigma. No one knows. No one knows. I'm not kidding with you. I'm not kidding with you. I have no idea. I think it's a down special. That's my guess, right? I'm pretty sure it's a down special because I mean we've yet to see any other move from him that looks like that. I'll just Google it.
Yeah, just Google it. Yeah, when in doubt, Google out. That is honestly that's the motto right there. But you know what? It is going to be a rematch. Wario again versus Little Mac, and like we had said previously, you know, Wario somewhat of a counterattack specialist, and Little Mac just trying to get these stocks off as quickly as possible and trying to deal as much damage as possible. So let's see how this unfolds. As now you can see game number 3 is officially underway.
Absolutely. I did just Google it. Thank you, Google, very much. It is in fact a down special. I'm a genius, and everyone loves me. That being said, Wario able to grab that immediately, getting a little bit of percentage back here, but he's already at 102 compared to 11% for the Little Mac, and he's just putting so much damage, already taking that stock. Wow. Battlefield a little bit smaller of a stage compared to the last one, and he's able to just keep on his opponent right now. He's taking that lead, very strong. Getting some up tilts out as well. Almost able to do a lot of damage with that forward smash and not quite able to connect with the bike. Captain, we've barely seen this bike only as a recovery tool, but it just seems so strong, so much zoning.
Oh, absolutely. It does cover a lot. And like I was saying, you know, in the previous map, like that really is an advantage for Wario. And we haven't seen it used quite a bit. But, you know, the thing about it is that it's also counterable. Like if you allow Little Mac to just simply jump over the bike, you're leaving yourself exposed for a pretty heavy attack. And the thing with Little Mac, just like this, when they find an opening, they make the most of it.
Fantastic move there coming out, spamming that jab, able to send into a recovery as well. This is exactly what Cedar Woolley needs to put this one in the ground. Great damage near the ledge, and is able to take yet another stock. Battlefield, just so much smaller of a stage. It's so much more difficult for that warrior to recover and stay in close and fight. Near the ledge there, he's able to get the recovery, the forward smash, unable to connect, and now at 25%, the counter comes through, the KO punch is ready, and that would be enough in order to finish out this stock, able to dodge that bike, and he'll find it! Cedar Woolley taking the third game as well. That's another 3 points to them, and now, Captain, Seattle Prep needs to win the last 2 straight up if they want to have any chance of taking this home.
As a matter of fact, if they win the next 2, then they just win. I mean, it's 7-0 right now. If they win the next 2, that's 8, and they will literally win by 1 point. So right now, all the side of Cedar Woolley has to do is just win one of those matches in order to secure their series victory. So with that being said, I got to tell you, that was an interesting matchup, to say the least. I mean, we saw a Lucina first, then a Wario, and I was like, okay, we're going to stick with the Wario. Wario ends up taking the second round, and then we go to round 3, and it's a 3-stock win. Like that, again, just absolutely an insane show out coming from the side of Cedar Woolley.
I mean, it just goes to show you, like I said before, with WSSEA Smash especially, anything can happen, right? Even a stage switch. I think that was the greatest selection there possible for that Little Mac on that battlefield. The smaller stage, the smaller borders, you don't have to send someone nearly as far in order to take them out, in order to take the stock. And that's exactly what happened. Wario just unable to avoid the damage. He's just stuck in constantly. Before, he's able to get a bit of zoning going on, but that time around, I mean, it's just not going to happen, right? Little Mac just able to stay on top of him all the time. So now going into this next one, you can imagine they're going to be thinking about the stage picks a little bit more, right? Because, I mean, typically that doesn't come to mind, but at these very high levels of play that we're seeing right now with very strong players, that's really what it comes down to, even when it seems super even. So going to this next one, what characters do you expect to see? Do you think we're going to see a repeat of these faster brawler type characters, or are we going to return to something like K-Rool or Cloud that are able to put out a lot of damage and are relatively safe?
See, again, that's going to remain to be seen, but I got to tell you right now, if you're going up against a Little Mac, the last place you want to go is Final Destination. So with that being said, we do see a Cloud now coming back out once again for Seattle Prep.
This one's big, right? I'm not going to lie, I'm a massive Terry fan. And to see Terry be pulled out by SWHS, I mean, it doesn't get better than this, right? I mean, even against a Cloud, I think Terry definitely has some potential. We've seen players like Riddles show that Terry has a lot of potential, especially on flat stages like this, like Battlefield, a little bit smaller, not dissimilar to Little Mac. They can put out a decent amount of damage. And we're seeing it immediately already taking the first stock, SWHS on this Terry. I'm scared, Captain. Even with Cloud's incredible range, they might just not have the speed.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they do, and not to mention, you know, with Terry, they not only have speed, but they have strength. Somewhat reminds me of Roy, actually, but the difference being is that I think Terry might have a little bit of better of a recovery, whereas Roy simply does not. But the point is that they are a very speedy character that can deal out a massive amount of damage, and now you can see, finally, for the first time, it looks as though Cloud just might have an advantage over Terry, but that back throw is going to put Cloud off stage and force them to recover.
Now Terry also has that go meter, as you can see, almost taking that stock already, 123% for Cloud. Somehow bringing it back to even basically lapping Cloud here on this next stock. And he will get the recovery, lots of damage at the ledge and the air dash. No! Cloud losing it, unfortunately, there. He air dashes near the ledge. He thought he had his recovery already set, but it's not going to happen now. That go meter still set up there. He can just put out so much damage in a single move. He tries to nail it, but the shield comes through, and he will finally take a stock back there. Incredibly close. I'm not gonna lie to you, this one feels a little bit one-sided at the moment, Captain, and just so much damage coming through for that Terry. What does Cloud have to do here? That grab, but it's not gonna matter.
I mean, you're going to have to make use of the limit, honestly, because, you know, I was doing a little bit of Googling myself just to make sure I knew what exactly limit and limit breaker does. So limit actually does increase Cloud's speed, and it makes them a lot faster, although it doesn't increase their attack speed. It increases their mobility. So if they want to try and keep up with the speed of Terry, they're just going to have to utilize the limit and maybe try and time their limit breakers a little bit better.
Absolutely. Oh, man, he's just trying to get the recovery. He's able to nail it, fortunately, and it's getting extremely close now. 118% for this Cloud, and Terry only at 93, but still 2 stocks ahead. Oh, he's able to nail it right there as he flies through. Oh, great dash attack coming out from Cloud, knocking him into the air, but it's not quite going to land. Fantastic damage coming out from that Terry, 136%, not able to land that Knuckle Buster. Taking another stock now. Cloud at 136%. He wants that limit breaker, trying to bait him in with it, but oh, it's going to be close here, Captain. Oh, almost near the ledge there as well. I'm not even sure what Cloud can do at 147%. Sure, he can get a couple combos in, but eventually a shot will come through from the Terry, and that might be it. Yep, it's going to happen.
Might be, and it is. And you know, really, the one thing that Cloud could have did was just have a flawless stock. It was the only way. Going that entire stock without, you know, leaving an opening, without taking a hit. It was really your only hope. Meanwhile, Terry managed to find an opening, managed to find a hit, and managed to find that final stock off of Cloud, giving SWHS yet another win.
Absolutely. And you know what? Going into this, it's the last game, correct? I'm not mistaken. Going into this last game here, unfortunately, there's not a way for Seattle Prep to make it back in terms of points. However, game 2?
Yeah, this was the first match between Cloud and Terry. So we still have I want to say 2 more because best of 3, so at least
Right,
one more.
right. Sorry,
at the
I don't know
very
what I was
least.
thinking. My fault.
I mean, don't get me
Okay.
wrong. It felt like that was like 3 rounds in one just now, but no, it was just one. We still got more to go.
A little bit of brain
Let's
fog there.
go! I love Rob so much.
Oh my goodness.
I'm sorry, that was fandom that just poured out. Okay, you can
No,
go now.
I mean, tell me about Rob. I don't know what I'm looking at.
Rob is you. Wait, you don't know about Rob?
I don't know about Rob.
Oh, Rob is so cool. Believe it or not, Rob is actually somewhat of a heavy, but they are so balanced, and they are just such a danger. And especially if you get them off stage, their down air is just so good. There's so much versatility with this character just because, they can take you center stage. They can brawl with the best of them. Their recovery is decent, and their down smashes or down throws, rather, are just really good as well. And they have a little bit of range to them, a little bit of a controller aspect. But you know what? I think they are more balanced than anything, which makes them such a threat.
Absolutely. When you say balance, do you mean like weight-wise, or do you mean like character balance-wise?
No, I mean, when I say balanced, I mean they have a decent arsenal for every situation. They're not a big heavy. They're not, all throws. They do have some throws. They're not insanely speedy, but, they're speedy enough. They're balanced in all aspects of Smash characters.
I see, like a middle-of-the-pack kind of deal.
Exactly.
What you'd expect Mario to be, I guess.
Also, Captain Falcon, very balanced as well.
Oh, I see. Oh, great hit coming in there from the Cloud. Now, bringing it 2-2 at the moment. That's exactly what he needs. It's my understanding that Rob is a very, very high meta character, right? They have a lot of potential. They have a lot of areas where they can cover a lot of ground. And even with Cloud, who also has a decent bit of range and speed, even against them, I mean, they can still find a lot of openings here, and that's why this is so dead even. Now, you're the Rob expert. You can tell me, what is Rob's best move?
Now, you see, I wouldn't say I'm a Rob expert. I'm no expert in anything, but honestly, I think their best move, first of all, is the arm spin, just because it is pretty versatile. It is able to get a good bit of range, which makes up, a lot, especially going up against sword users like Cloud. But honestly, it's the down smash, especially if you get them off stage, is without a doubt, their best move. Has the most knockback potential, and if you get caught off stage with it, you're gone.
Oh, man. Speaking of getting caught off a stage, Rob being sent a mile away, able to get the recovery. The edge guard will come through, though, for the Cloud. Now taking it 2-1 at the moment for Seattle Prep. Doing a lot of damage, though. Rob trying to bring it back here. Trying to get it even once again. Sending Cloud off a stage. Can he get that edge guard? It's going to be close there, but he is going to get that invulnerability as he climbs up. Cloud recovering once again. CJ Woolley seeming to lose their footing a little bit here on this Rob, but great damage coming through. Now 70%, though. They haven't taken that next stock, and question is, what are they going to have to do to finally take it? 171%, that limit break coming through. Oh, never mind. Cloud will be found. Now Rob, 79%. I mean, how close do you think this one's going to be, Captain? I'm not sure what he's going to be able to do at this percentage.
I mean, if they can get Cloud off stage, then things are going to be really even really quickly. And again, you can see that percentage starting to even out. And now Cloud is going off stage. And this is where Rob can do a lot of damage. Their edge guarding potential is pretty high. And again, being able to come through with the down smash off stage could do a lot as well. And Rob's recovery, absolutely phenomenal. But the limit breaker lands, and they're able to take the last stock, as it will be Seattle Prep to come away with a win here in round 2.
Fantastic. Oh my god. So, I mean, that'll be taking it to a game 3, correct?
Correct.
Making sure I've got it covered this time around. I slipped up a little bit before. Fantastic play coming out from that Cloud. Now that Rob, I mean, I'm not going to lie to you. I expected to just see pure domination from that end, because Rob, just especially with the arm spin, as you referred to before, it's just so incredibly strong, holds a lot of range. It's a very strong zoning ability, but Cloud, he was able to move so quickly, think on his feet. He was able to keep him off stage as well. And when he found those edge guards, they were extremely effective, and he's able to take that round. Now, are we going to see a character switch?
Probably. I would imagine so. Probably. If you want to secure the win, you would go with Terry again, because they played so phenomenally. And the thing with Rob, no, they're going to stick with the Rob pick, which is interesting, because again, the thing about Rob is, they do have some great range. The laser beams, the everything. Their range is phenomenal, but at the same time, they can brawl. They can throw hands, or throw clamps, or whatever Rob has.
To this day, I'm not exactly sure what to call Rob. Like, what is his purpose? Because I'm not gonna lie, he looks a bit like a vacuum cleaner from the bottom end.
He's a friend. That's what
Oh,
Rob is. Rob is a friend.
you know, yeah, maybe the Smash Ultimate is the friends we made along the way. Now that Limit Breaker not quite able to land. Unfortunately, Rob gained that grab, and he hits him with it up air, unable to land the laser though. The Beyblade coming through. He's able to drop at his feet, holding on to that ledge. These combos now, he's really coming into his own, and Cloud finding out exactly what that means, falling off the stage. They're losing that stock, now taking it 3-2. This Rob captain, he's able to just find these combos and just extend them consistently. Cloud, I'm not sure what he can do.
Well, again, it's going to be the same scenario of what we've seen before with Cloud, and you're going to have to keep Rob center stage. You cannot allow Rob to control you and throw you off stage because, again, Cloud's recovery is a little poo-poo. Rob's recovery, phenomenal. So he's going to want to take this fight off into the air. Meanwhile, Cloud is going to have to concentrate on keeping it onto the platform and, again, trying to utilize that limit and the limit breaker.
Limit Breaker, not very high charge at the moment, but it's definitely going to be something that he needs. 127% on the Rob. He's just played so incredibly safe until now. Sorry, bit of a caster's curse there. Now taking it 2-2, but 91% on this Cloud. Rob, with a solid grab like that one, he could possibly convert it into a stock. Lots of damage coming out. That Limit Breaker potentially coming through, but the snipe will happen. Oh, the projectile spam coming from either side, but he just has one more. Rob taking yet another stock, now 53%. Cedro Wooly doing so much damage at the moment. 53% on him right now, and he's up a stock, so it's going to be a lot of extra credit potential for him going into this next one. Oh man, this Cloud, he's just not able to get in.
Yeah, you know, and that's the real problem with Rob, you know, and that's what makes him such a balanced character is because they are really good at, you know, going into melee close quarter combat, but at the same time have the projectiles to keep you at bay, especially with the Beyblade. That is an essence right there of control and, you know, a little factor of zoning. It's not a huge zoning ability, but it is one that helps a lot when Rob is trying to, you know, to really try and come in close to deal a lot of that massive damage because you're kind of forced to avoid it. And when you're forced to avoid it, it makes you vulnerable.
All right, we're looking at it right now. Gray hit. Oh my gosh. On that Limit Breaker, is able to take that stock near the ledge there. But Rob, his opponent's at 103%, and he just puts out so much damage. It's not going to be easy to survive for that Cloud. He needs to just begin a combo and just hold it down, Captain. That's what he needs. He needs to hit that one good combo and just extend it for a year. It's not going to happen. Rob, Cedro Wooly taking match 4 here in this best of 3. Rob able to clutch it out. Fantastic play from him with that back air near the ledge. I mean, what to expect with a character like Rob, right? He's just so incredibly strong, so incredibly versatile. I mean, what can I say? He's just that good.
Yeah. Honestly, I think to myself that if E.T. was in robot form, it would be Rob. Like Rob reminds me of a mecha version of E.T. And you know what? I'm gonna stand by that. But regardless, and you know, just like E.T., I think of them as a friend. You know, Rob is my friend. Rob is all of our friends. But you know, they're clearly not a friend to Cloud because that was a fantastic match from start to finish and a great finish at that. Like you said, being able to get that back air in that last stock to really secure the victory now for Cedro Wooly as they are, if my math is correct, up to 11 points.
Yeah. It is up to 11 points at the moment. Unfortunately for Seattle Prep, now I can say this. They're unable to bring it back now in terms of points, right? However, going to the last game, they can still have a bit of fun and still show that, I mean, they have mechanical skill, at least. You know, they might not be able to take the entire thing, but on the Ken pick, though, oh my gosh, I love to see the Ken coming out, but against the K rule. Now, I mean, you've said it yourself, Kirby Kid, if I'm not mistaken, he's showing what K rule is capable of, and I can imagine we're going to see a little bit of that going into this one. Have you seen the Ken versus K. Rool matchup before?
No, I haven't. And I'll be honest with you, I like Ken in Street Fighter. I do not like them in Smash.
No? I mean, what's wrong with Ken in Smash?
I just don't think he's going to be able to put up the snuff. I mean, great. They were able to take the first stock off of K. Rool. That is phenomenal, especially going up with such a big heavy. But I don't know. Just Ken just does not hit right for me on Smash.
Interesting. But, I mean, like you said before, he's able to take that first stock. He's putting in a lot of damage as well. K. Rool just kind of getting juggled at the moment with this Ken holding that edge guard. I don't know. There might be a lot of potential here, and I love the character so much, even in Smash, not just Street Fighter. Because he's just, in my mind, he's just a very basic character, you know. He's able to just put out a decent amount of damage. He's decently quick. He doesn't do anything especially well. Oh my goodness, that grab for the K roll, able to find his first stock, but still at 118%. The question is, what is this K roll doing wrong at the moment, Captain? What do they need to do a little bit better? What do they need to focus on in order to come back in this game?
Well, honestly, I don't want to say it's like somewhat of a mismatch, but brawlers are really effective against the heavies, particularly King K. Rool, because the whole point of the heavies is to bring you in close. The only problem with that is that brawlers, a lot like Ken and even someone like Mario, is that they can deal out a lot of damage when they do get in close. So that's the real problem here. And brawlers also have a lot of speed to their arsenal as well, so that makes them a little bit more susceptible to dodging. But with that being said, you're not going to dodge the down air off the edge guard coming from K. Rool, as now they take a one-stock lead.
No, I'm noticing a trend here, Captain, where the K roll starts off pretty bad. They lose the first stock, whatever, they get really far behind, and they just take their opponent off a ledge for 1 second, and they just hit a spike of some kind. And despite being down despite having significantly less percentage, I mean, they still just lose the stock first. So even now at 188%, President already going to 70. Ken, he might be able to take the next stock, but after that, I mean, he's going to be down heavily, and this just keeps happening. Is it some quirk of K roll? Is it the fact that they're so heavy? I can't figure it out.
No, it definitely is. You also got to take into consideration the body armor, too. The belly armor definitely goes a long way. I mean, we're looking at King K. Rool sitting on 250% damage, and yet the belly, if I'm not mistaken, was not broken until finally. Even still, after that elimination, I don't think the belly was broken. So the thing is that K. Rool can just eat so much damage, and if you don't have a character that has a lot of knockback potential, you're not going to be able to do much.
And it's looking like that's the case right now. President being forced near the ledge, and the smash will come through, and the forward smash comes out. Cedro Wooly taking that first game here with that King K. Rool. Just so much damage coming out consistently. That belly armor, like you said, allowing them to survive to, what was that, 254?
Yeah, that was, I think, the most damage I've seen taken in a competitive setting that I have casted. Being very specific from mine eyes, participating in the actual match itself. That was the most damage I've seen taken. And with that being said, again, it just goes to what I was saying about Ken. I do like Ken, but when it comes to like close quarter brawlers, I think there are better avenues to go. So it's not any disrespect for Ken. I love Ken. Ken is one of the biggest reasons esports is a thing. And I go back all the way back to Evo 2004, the Daigo parry, one of the most famous moments in esports ever. It was Ken. Ken was there again. So again, a much love in my heart for that character. They just don't hit the same in Smash.
They just, what? They just, some people got it, right? And Ken just don't got it in Smash. I'm sorry. It's not an easy matchup, especially against a character like King K. Rool. But Duck Hunt now being brought in instead. It seems like they're experimenting a little bit going into this next one, and I really appreciate it as well. Now, Duck Hunt, what do you know about Duck Hunt? Because it's my understanding that, I mean, they just have stuff like the barrel especially that are just so interesting, right? But I don't know how else to put that.
Well, first of all, I know a good bit about Duck Hunt, the actual game itself. I'm going to show my age a little bit. I actually played Duck Hunt when I was a kid on the SNES with the gun and everything else. It was without a doubt ahead of its time. I'll be completely honest. That game was amazing. Like, wow. if you were the kid on the block that had Duck Hunt, you were the coolest kid on the block. But with that being said, Duck Hunt themselves as a character in Smash, first of all, adorably cute, even when they're getting eliminated, but at the same time is just a really big zoner.
Yeah, I agree. Honestly, I think the biggest strength of Duck Hunt going to this one is they're so incredibly adorable that if you take a stock against them, you're the bad guy, right? You get immediately morally debuffed. And that's the strongest bit of Duck Hunt lore that I can think of here, the strongest bit of like matchup potential that he has.
He's just so cute. He's like a little dog, but has a duck on his back. And they're friends. In the game, you shoot the duckies, and then the dog goes out and gets them. But in this game, they're best pals. And that's a true coming together story.
That's a question for you. How do you explain this? You're supposed to be shooting the ducks, and then he goes out and gets them. Why are they homies in this one? Like, what is going on here, lore-wise? If you could explain that one to me. It's just odd.
Well, you see, the thing is that with Duck Hunt is that you're not going to hurt this duck. This is my duck. Only I can go after this duck. You try, and the duck is like, hang on a second. This dog, although they come from my top, usually often in our universe, but this is still my dog. You're not gonna. If anybody's gonna get my dog, it's gonna be me.
You're telling me we got a Joker Batman dynamic in Duck Hunt and Smash right now? It's like if anybody's going to kill the Bat, it's gonna be me, the Joker. That's what's happening?
Yeah, it's a true rivalry that simply can't be unbroken.
Well, unfortunately, the rivalry was broken right there at the top of the stage because Ken able to take that. Now we're going to be going into a game 3 here. Now, I can imagine they're going to swap right back to the Carewell to take this one. Duck Hunt, I mean, the bomb wasn't broken. They're very cute, but they weren't able to take it. Ken hitting a lot of short Yukins as well. It might be my favorite move in any fighting game ever. And seeing it be used in Smash so effectively is extremely cool to me. Against an adorable little dog, though, I'm not sure how I feel about that.
Yeah, I feel the same way whenever, someone smashes a Kirby. Again, there's a hurt. Or even, a Pikachu. Just anything cute, especially Squirtle. Oh my god, I love Squirtle so much. Anybody that's mean to a Squirtle is just instantly my enemy. But with that being said, yes, I would hope that there is some kind of repick. Again, when we're talking about zoners in particular, like Duck Hunt, I honestly think Pac-Man might have been a little bit more viable. But no, they're going to stick with the Duck Hunt pick. And once again, it's going to be Ken on Duck Hunt. We have to go through this adorable beatdown at least one more time. Wow.
I mean, CJ Woolley is clearly confident that they can figure it out. They can figure out the matchup even against this Ken. The grab comes through on this platform. Ashley isolate on those platforms, that seems actually very effective here for a character like Duck Hunt. I didn't expect that one to come through, but they are getting a little bit of damage out now with that barrel, trying to put it in the way. Question is, will it be enough? Able to explode it, but it's not quite going to be in range. Great down smash coming out. Ken off the stage. He will get the recovery, though, but it's caught off immediately. Trying to hold it down. Duck Hunt unable to smack him as he comes back up to the ledge. Oh, but he's going to dodge right into the barrel. Captain, what is even going on at the moment? Even though they're even on, it kind of feels like the little guy is really pulling his own here.
Well, it's because now Duck Hunt, you can see, is actually zoning. They're using what they have in their arsenal, whereas before, they tried to throw hands. And if you try and throw hands against Ken, you're going to fail. But if you actually use the weaponry in your arsenal against Ken, you can come out on top, especially if you can get Ken off stage. Duck Hunt, for all their faults, has a great recovery. That's where the friend and the duck come into play. So if they're able to take Ken off stage, they should have a decent advantage. Meanwhile, Ken, with a back heel to the dome, is able to take the first stock off of Duck Hunt.
Absolutely, back foot to the domular, straight to the temple, I would say, especially. That will knock you out immediately. Definitely has to get some chiropractic help after that one. His spine definitely misplaced, misaligned. But now taking it right back to even just about here. 2 stocks to 2 stocks at the moment. Bit of projectile spam coming out. They're trying to zone a little bit more, I'm noticing. Even on the Ken here, you'd think it would just be the Duck, but Ken, he's starting to throw a few more Hadouken's here as he tries to recover. Oh, that side spin kick there. It's one of my favorite moves, I think. I'll tell you right now, Captain, I play a lot of Ryu, right? Whenever I played Ultimate, I've played a lot of Ryu. And, you can genuinely just spam that move a lot of the time and find decent success. But I don't think it's going to happen here, though. Flying off of the stage, Duck Hunt able to take yet another stock. Wow, 1 stock remaining for this Ken here. It seems like he might have figured it out. Like you said, he's been doing a lot of zoning, and that might be exactly what he needs.
Oh, absolutely. And you see, the thing about Ken is that move that you like, that kick, was actually used in the Daigo parry back in EVO 2004 and has been absolutely, I guess, immortalized. And it's just also one of my favorite moves, and it's the helicopter kick, one of the most devastating moves in Street Fighter. So, yes, it is definitely one of my favorites as well. But right now, I don't know how much is going to be helping against Duck Hunt. They're still trying to, at least get this second stock off of Duck Hunt, but meanwhile, Duck Hunt's still dealing out damage.
Oh, man. Even at 156%, I mean, they're getting Ken awfully close to that as well. He won't even let him touch the ground for most of that. Just putting so much damage, but Ken finally able to take it, putting it 1 stock to 1 stock, but 117. I'm not going to lie to you, Captain. I think 1 good barrel, and that'll be the end of it. I mean, it might even just be an aerial that he's setting up right now with that frisbee. Ken able to get the recovery, but now he's caught at the ledge, and it's going to happen. CJ Woolley taking that match 5 there as well. And I mean, it's just going to be a bit of a sweep for CJ Woolley. Wow.
And this is the best thing about Duck Hunt is that not only is the doggo cute, but the ducky also extraordinarily cute. And when you put them together, They just make just the best of friends. Kind of like the fox and the hound. Again, showing my age a little bit, but it's when an unlikely pair become friends, and it's the most heartwarming thing you could see.
Absolutely. I mean, the last thing you'd expect, given, their past. Their past is
in
it's
all
a bloody
due respect, the dog never actually shot or murdered the ducks. That was the person with the pow pow pistol on the SNES or the NES. And it was the NES. I apologize, not the SNES. It was the actual original Nintendo that Duck Hunt was on. So the dog was just gathering the corpses and then chalking them up as points. The dog itself actually didn't hurt or do the murdering.
Fair, but I mean, bare minimum, they could bury the duck, right? Really?
No,
you're
no.
gonna run over and grab it and bring it back to the owner? That's not a homie move.
That's what I mean. They could have eaten the duck.
You're right. They could have eaten the duck, but instead they gave it to the person who shot him. I don't know. I'm conflicted. Okay, Captain, I'm conflicted. Anything could happen. Okay, well, that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. It's been another fantastic week of WSSEA Smash. Now, next week we won't be back. It will be spring break. So everyone enjoy your spring break. These players have played fantastic, and I'm very excited to see them in 2 weeks from now, around the same time, once again on Thursday. 3:30 p.m. PST. Expect to see some League of Legends as well that following week on that Tuesday. That's going to be a lot of fun. Make sure to catch up with that. And once again, thank you to the Washington Army, National Guard, and Seattle Built PCs for sponsoring this event. I've been Way Too Dan and Captain at Soka. Sorry, I can't figure that one out. And thank you very much.
You nailed it.
I got there in the end.
You got it. Yeah.
Perfect. Fantastic. Thank you once again for watching, and we'll see you 2 weeks from now. Have a good one.